Are you happy to be here? Some of you are. All right, very good. Do you know you're chosen? Not really believable. Okay, that's okay though. But you are, you're chosen, right? I was listening to Sean's talk last night and I was thinking about everything he had to say. And, you know, he brought out that story of Zacchaeus, and how Christ called out to him. He called out to him by name, and, you know, he chose him as he chooses us. But with Zacchaeus, it doesn't just stop there, right? He wasn't just in the tree and he just heard something in the beginning, you know, from Christ calling him out. But he had to do something. He had to come down from the tree and participate. And that's kind of, I think, where we're at right now. At least I know that's where I'm even at right now today at this conference myself, is that Christ is calling us. He calls us to participate with him, but we still have to do something about it. And we have to participate in his mission, participate in how he wants us to be chosen. Because even though Christ chooses us, we have to choose to be chosen. We have a choice. We have free will. We have to make those choices to choose to be a part of his life, to live in the spirit of Christ or not. And so I was thinking about this one story, and I'm going to sit down. It's story time. Okay. So I was thinking about this story and about Lazarus. And you all know Lazarus, right? Nod your heads because your youth ministers and your priests are watching. Yeah, you do. All right, so you have Lazarus, and, you know, he died. He's in the tomb. Martha and Mary are crying over everything, of course. And Jesus comes, and he also cries, and he weeps. And there's this part in here. I just wanted to read you this one line that I just find powerful. Jesus says this. This is in John 11. And so this is after the point where Jesus comes to the tomb and he sees with his own eyes Lazarus is dead. And Jesus weeps. He cries. And so Jesus said with a loud voice, "Lazarus, come out." The dead man came out, his hands and his feet bound with bandages, and his face wrapped with a cloth. Jesus said to them, "Unbind him and let him go." So I was thinking about that part in Scripture and that story of Lazarus and, you know, being in the tomb. And then I was just thinking about myself and all these different things. And there was a story I wanted to share with you because it's true what Paul said. Years ago, I was on America's Next Top Model. I was in cycle 3, and you know, I stood in line with all of these girls, right, to audition for this show. And I'm in line with thousands of girls joining hundreds of thousands all over the United States, and I think I'm just top stuff. And I'm in line, and I'm going to get it. I'm going to get on that show. And I did, and I wanted to be chosen, you know. And at this point in my life, you have to understand, I was born and raised Catholic, but just to save on time, the moral compass is not pointing due north at all. All right, so my life from about high school on, it was just complete mess. It was always about my feelings. I felt this way. Well, I really love him, so it's okay if I do this. Well, I really feel like I want to do this or that. And so I made choices based completely on how I felt. I didn't want to really think about things. And that type of behavior can lead you into choices and experiences in life that aren't always the healthiest. And so by the time I was on America's Next Top Model, and I was chosen to be on America's Next Top Model, I thought everything was going to be fine. All that I wanted, I was going to get. That's what I thought. So I get on Top Model. I get eliminated from Top Model. I was chosen by Tyra and then not chosen by Tyra. And I don't know why that's such a big deal, but at the time it was. You know, you're crying, and I just don't understand, and I'm still going to make it, and the world's going to be okay. And so I decided to continue modeling, and I went out into New York, and I lived there, and I just began that profession as a fashion model, and I did. And so I started modeling and getting some gigs and doing fashion shows in New York and just crazy stuff. And I thought I had it all. I mean, my picture was in Times Square. It was on the side of taxi cabs. You know, my paychecks had a comma in it. And for me, based on what the world says, now you got it. There you go. Someone does math. There you go. I thought I had everything. I mean, I thought it was just completely perfect. You know, I mean, I was doing everything that the world tells us to do to be happy. And I know it sounds pathetic. I know this sounds silly, but this is the truth. I wanted to be pretty. I wanted to be famous. I wanted people to know me. I wanted to make a lot of money. I wanted boys to like me. And I was going to do anything to make that happen. I mean, it sounds pathetic when you hear somebody say that. But, you know, a lot of us in the world live our lives that way without actually saying it. And I did. I lived my life completely that way. I mean, I had impure relationships with guys because I wanted to be loved, and I wanted a relationship, and I just felt like it was better than leaving. I wanted to make money, so I became a model, and I did these things, and I lowered my values, I lowered my standards because some jobs paid more than others. I wanted to be famous. I wanted people to know me because I guess I just saw my worth in that. I wanted to be chosen by the world. And all of these things that I was doing at the time, I didn't realize it, but these were really tombs. I was putting myself in tombs, like the story of Lazarus. And I was choosing tombs, and I was trying to convince myself that I was happy there in this dark place. And I never was. I mean, you never really are very happy when you're in that place at all. And maybe that's, some of these things are connecting with you. Either, not saying that you're on a TV show or whatever, but we've all done stupid stuff. And you get to that point where you've done the stupid thing and you thought it was going to make you happy, and then you're there alone dealing with the consequences and you realize you're just not. And you end up, that's that tomb that we're in. And so I had this point for me, this one moment, and it was a big moment for me that happened that I wanted to share with you. So I was in New York and I was modeling, and I get this phone call from this international magazine, and they're like, hey, listen, we want you to come out and do this shoot. And I was so thrilled, so excited. They were like, you know, we think you just have more to offer the world than just these cutesy pictures of girl next door. And of course, for me, I am so vain. I'm like, oh, tell me more. Tell me all the good things about me, you know. And I just want the compliments. Just, you know, tell me. So they're telling me just how great I am, how wonderful I am, you know, and they're going to give me a new shoot, and this photo shoot will be put into an international magazine, and this is obviously going to be seen all over the world, and it's going to be huge. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I'm going to be like so pretty and in a magazine, and you know, and keep in mind, like, I definitely make fun of myself with that, but there's nothing wrong with the idea that us women in particular, I know guys want to be handsome, but I don't really understand. Like, I don't know what you do, like put in more hair gel or something, but I don't know. But girls, we have this desire to be beautiful, right? And to be loved. And there's nothing wrong with that, all right? Let me tell you something. I'm a firm believer that I think Jesus likes a little lip gloss, all right? I do. Not a lot, just a little. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it. Lip gloss is not a sin, all right? Neither are pink high heels, my favorite. But the idea, the point is that, the desire to be beautiful, to be known, these are good desires. This is what God has put in us. Now, the idea is like where we go to find that fulfillment and where we find our worth there. Okay, so I was seeking it in the world, and that's how it was distorted. So I was wanting to hear from the people in the magazine how cute I was, and I would tell me all these great things about me just to feed in, because I had this desire that wasn't being met. I didn't realize that it's not being met because I'm looking to the wrong person to fill it. I'm looking to the world. I'm in the tomb. So I'm just not getting it at that point. But I'm at this shoot, and so I agreed to do it. Okay, yep, that sounds great. Now, they did tell me, listen, we're going to give you some different types of clothing. It's going to be, not girl next door, but it's going to be fine. And I just thought, okay, yeah, sure, like it's going to be sexy. And I'm like, yeah, that's amazing. Let's do it. Absolutely, Translation of that conversation is more like, hey, we have this extra ticket to hell. Do you want to come? Let's go. And I was like, yes, I do want to go. Absolutely. When do we leave? I'm all packed, ready to go. Yes. Do I leave my soul at the door or later? Okay. But we do. It ends up being that way. We get these offers sometimes, and they sound so good. And the reality is that it's really an offer to get into the tomb. So I agree to do it. I do the shoot. And I'm in there, and I'm wearing an immodest outfit. And a lot of my talks that I do for my profession here talk about that, talk about modesty and beauty and what the world gives us and then what God has given us. And I didn't understand completely how I understand now the virtue of modesty and the beauty of it, that modesty frees beauty, really. And immodesty restrains it and holds it back, and it ends up making the person who is either dressing or acting or thinking immodest less free. So I didn't get that. So I agreed to do the shoot, and I put on this immodest outfit that did not help me or you or the world whatsoever. And so I get into that moment, and I'm doing the shoot, and the photographer's taking picture after picture after picture. It's in front of me. And then something happened, and it was crazy, and it was weird. So this is what went down. I'm in there, and granted, the weeks prior to this point, I became more and more irritated with my lifestyle and what was going on, and my faith in God, but at the same time, I'm not practicing my faith. I'm not going to church, definitely not attending conferences as cool as this and things like that. And so by the time I get to this point in the shoot, I'm already a little on edge, just a little on edge of, should I do it, should I not do it? And then wanting to be a professional, like, no, this is what you're supposed to do. I've made it this far. I was on the TV show. I got this huge photo shoot from this massive international magazine. You don't say no to these things. You just do them. And then you deal with the consequences later. So I was already resigning myself to that. So when I get there to that point, and the photographer's taking these pictures, I just had these people around me, and I remember they were pulling and tugging on me, putting on this lotion to make me look like I was from Puerto Rico. I'm a white girl from Oklahoma, so I still don't understand that. Like, why don't you just get the Puerto Rican? It would have been a lot easier than putting on the lotion on me to make my skin look darker. Anyway, but they did. At all. I am such a puppet. Such a puppet. They don't care if I die. They don't care if I go to heaven or hell or my soul or anything. And then I was thinking, well, Leah, why are you so worried that they don't care about you when you don't care about you? You don't care whether you go to heaven or hell, clearly by your actions. I want to feel like I care, because I definitely don't want to go to that place that's very scary and looks really hot. I'm not good with heat. It's not good for me. And so, but why would why do I care that they don't care? And so I was standing there and I was doing this shoot, and like I said, this moment happens. So in that moment, I remember being in my pose, and like the flash of the camera hit my eyes, and I just started blinking to regain my focus, right? And as that's happening, I just see this little picture inside my head. I think God just kind of used my imagination to help me understand what was going on deeper within my heart. And I saw myself in like this big, huge white space wearing my immodest outfit that I was modeling. And I was standing there and I had my hands cupped together at my waist. And then I raised them all the way up to like the level of my head, like I was giving something to someone. And then out and up above me, I see the profile of this man's face. And he looked at my hands and then he just bowed his head in disappointment. So I pulled my hands back down to find out what was so disappointing, what was so bad. And in my hands, I saw exactly what it was. I looked down on my hands, and it was right there. They were completely empty. There was nothing in them. For me, I knew in that instant, I had nothing to offer. Like I had wasted myself, emptied myself upon the world. I was in the tomb and making a home in the tomb. Everything kind of snapped out of it. The photographer was once again trying to get my attention. Leah, come on, focus, focus, focus. My little imagination kind of like cuts off, and I just realize where I'm at and what's going on. And the first thing I say is like, look, I got to get out of here. I can't do this anymore. And of course, they're all wanting to get me in to finish out the shoot and do it. But I said, no, man, I'm done. I can't do this. So I get up, put on my clothes. I end up walking out and leaving. And I remember the photographer, the last thing he said to me was this. He says, you know what? If you leave, you're going to be a nobody. And I turned and I looked at him and I just said, with such desperation, I just said, do you promise? And he said, what? And I got to tell you, I'm not kidding you. People, for the first time in my life, I was honest with myself. And I realized I want to actually be a nobody to you. I want to be everything to Jesus Christ. I want to go back where I belong. I want to choose to be chosen. I know Christ has been calling me, and he chooses me every second of every moment of every day of my life, like he does for you. But I want to now choose to be chosen. I walked out of the photo shoot, went all the way home. I get home, and I do the only thing a girl can do, right? I call my dad. And I call my dad, and the first thing I say is, Dad, if you don't come and get me, I'm going to lose my soul. Which is a pretty heavy statement. So he's like, Leah, is this my daughter? You know, who are you? And I just said, and I tell him again, and he says, all right, baby, I'm coming to get you. My daddy drove 2,000 miles, and he came and he picked me up in New York City, right then and there. And when my dad came to the front step of my door, he was there, and he ends up saying, okay, are you ready? And I was like, all right, whatever, let's go. I guess I'm ready. He goes, okay. We go to confession. And I was like, no. No, we're not. We're just going to go home. And he said, Leah Diane, you called and you said you needed to come home. And the church is home. If you want to go anywhere else, you can call Southwest Airlines. It's a convincing argument to make. I found myself in a confessional, obviously, soon after that. I didn't have enough money for the flight, so wasted it all on purses and shoes, and I did. And I get to that confessional, and I'm telling you something, I was terrified. I had been away from confession for years. I would receive the sacrament of the Eucharist if I went to Mass, I would receive the Eucharist in a state of mortal sin. That's another mortal sin on top of that. Did you know that? I didn't know that. I mean, I knew I probably shouldn't be, but then I thought, hey, why not? I want to be with Jesus. So it was a bad place. I get to that confessional, I kneel down, and of course I go to the screen because I'm not going to sit in the chair. Who does that? I don't. I know myself too well. And I really want to save the priest from putting all those bad thoughts to a face, And I'm kidding. They totally forget and everything. But still, totally, I do the screen. Oh yeah, okay, so this is a side note. This has really nothing to do with my talk, but I think it's a great idea. I'm going to share it with you. So here's my thoughts. Here's what I think we should do to increase people to come back to the church and to save our health at the same time. I think we should shut down all like the really bad fast food restaurants, okay, even though they're really good, but shut them down. And then use them as drive-through confessionals. Yeah. So wait a minute. You haven't heard the best part. We have to play it out so that you really are on board with this. This is great. So here's what happens. You're driving by the highway. Oh, man, I shouldn't have done that this weekend. Ooh, look. It's on the sign on the highway, like next McDonald's / and then there was like a Catholic church mark, whatever. You're like, great, 2 miles, confession, excellent. So you get off the highway, you go there, you pull off right there, it's great. You get in line, you look at the screen. We still keep up the entire edifice of the fast food place. So you have the whole screen, and instead of the burger meals, you'll just have the 10 Commandments, right? And so you'll have your examination of conscience, the big Catholic word to use to impress people. And so you do that. And so you go through, the priest comes over, the intercom, and you just say, bless me, Father, for I have sinned. And then you just say, can put me down for number 2. Supersize number 4. I'm just saying it could work. Then the priest's next comment is, please roll around for absolution to window number 2. Why not? Why not? This is the reason why we should not be ruling the church. But it's a good idea in theory, not practice. Anyway, so back to my confession story. Here's the thing. So I'm really wishing for that to go on. And of course, when I'm in confession, I'm thinking of all the ways that confession could be less painful for me, which only translates into, I just don't want to admit that I'm wrong and that God's right. Like, why are we shocked at that? The creator of the universe, perfection itself. He's right. I'm wrong. Shocker. I don't know why I'm shocked every time I'm like, oh my gosh, God, you're right. I shouldn't do that. Oh my God, yeah. But it happens. So I'm in the confessional. I kneel down with the priest, and I'm like, the first thing I say to him is, Father, I don't want to be here. Because I'm a very welcoming, penitent. And he just says, well, you don't have to be. Are you Catholic? And I am disgusted by the comment. I am so Catholic. No, I'm not. But I said it, right? Because we're defensive when we're wrong, right? So I say it, and he said, okay, well, do you want to go to confession? I said, yes, but I don't know what to say. I don't know how to say it. And I'll be honest with you, I am not saying this to you to make you, feel pity for me. I'm not saying it to make the talk better. But what I've shared with you and what I've alluded to of my past is tip of the iceberg. I had spent a decade of my life away from the Catholic Church, a decade of my life completely in the most disgusting and dark parts of sin, in the deepest tombs that tombs can go. I've done things that I'm so not proud of. Some things that are just terrible and dark. And so for me being in that confessional, it wasn't like, yeah, I hit my sister with like a piece of wood. I mean, that would have been really good compared to where I was going where, So I tell the priest, I don't know how to tell you what I've done. And he helps me. Okay, listen, what we're going to do. Right now, you just remember you're speaking to Christ. And you just right now give him the biggest sin, the biggest thing you got. Get that out first. Don't leave that to the end. Get it out first. So I say, okay, I just need a few minutes. Just let me think about everything and put things in order. He said, all right. So I did. And I was thinking. And then, there's that screen, and the screen has got those holes in it, right? Yeah, kind of like where you can kind of see the vague shadow of the priest's head. Do you do that? I'm like looking. I'm like, is he looking at me? Is he looking? Yeah, okay. No, I mean, make eye contact. Well, as I'm sitting there thinking and putting things in order, I can see the priest at some point, he comes in really close to that screen. And I'm like, whoa, it's a little too close, Father. Some distance. And he just goes, are you still there? And my next comment was, well, patience is a virtue, Father. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm the epitome of vice, and I just told a priest about virtue. Add that one to the list. You know it's bad when you're sitting in the confessional. You've reached a whole new level of like, bad girl, bad. So I'm sure at that point he's like looking for the Exorcist book, like, oh my gosh, did she just say that? Who says that to a priest in a confessional? Leah Darrow does. So we get past that point. I said, okay, I'm ready. Here it is. Here's my biggest sin. And then boom, I give it. I give it to Christ. I give Christ that biggest sin. Priest was so good. Nods his head. Okay, good. Now just tell me your second biggest sin. I said, okay, Father, here it is. Boom, there it is. There's my second biggest sin. He once again comes in closer to that screen. I'm a little nervous about what he's going to say now. And he just goes, yeah, so you really should have said that one first. I think I may have heard him chuckle, or it was a cry. I don't know. The point is, though, I share that because the point is that, in that confessional for the first time, and I'm not kidding you, the first time in my life, I did not go in there trying to impress the priest, wanting to be chosen by the priest, or wanting to show that, hey, I'm like some good Catholic and I'm so faithful and I'm the next Mother Teresa. No. I mean, I walked in and I was like, look, here is what I know. I know that I'm broken, but I know that I'm loved. So somehow those two things have got to reconcile themselves here. And just like in the story of Lazarus, and Jesus calls him out, Lazarus, come out. Christ, I know at so many points in my life, if not every single day, of course. Leah, come on, come out of sin. Like Zacchaeus that we heard in the yesterday night. What did he do after Jesus called out his name? He came down from the tree. He participated. Christ is calling you. He is choosing you. That's true. Now you have to choose him. We have to now participate. Ways that we can participate in being chosen is the fact that we can do this. We can arise, get up, walk out of the tomb, come down from the tree, whatever it is for you. So whatever you brought here this weekend, your brokenness, your anger, your bad mood, any just nasty, stinky, dark thing, man, leave it. Arise, let it go. Come down from the tree, come out of the tomb. You don't have to. I mean, you if you want to, you can stay in the tomb. It's your choice. And that's the universal paradox that is within all of us. You're free to choose, but we're never free from the consequences of our choices. And there will be consequences if you choose Christ. There will be consequences if you come down from the tree. There will be consequences if you leave the tomb. And they're good. They're good. But we have to choose to do that. We have to choose to be there, to be present with Christ. So we know that we are chosen, and to act upon being chosen, we arise. The next thing that we can do is that we can be restored. Christ comes to restore us, to heal us. The sacrament of reconciliation, it's available. It was available last night. It'll be available today. Use it. Why would we not? Trust me, if God can take a very damaged, very vain little girl like me and give me a new life, show me what happiness really is, show me what beauty really is, that it's not about the lip gloss and the high heels. Those are nice, and I can still use those, but that's not beauty. Show me what love really is, that it's not about what some guy or boyfriend can do for me. It's about the fact that one man chose to die on a cross for me. Yep, he can do anything with you. God calls us. He chooses us. And we can participate in being chosen by, once again, arise. We can stand up, take a stand. We can choose to be chosen by the fact that we go for healing from him in the sacrament of reconciliation. And then the third thing that we can do to participate in being chosen is that we can share in the mission of Christ. That means we can literally transform our lives. Christ can transform our lives with that. That we can be made new. My life after that moment, I had years of spiritual rehabilitation after that moment of that confession. But things did change. They were slow, incremental, but they did change for me. And I'm telling you something right now. When I talk about me sharing in Christ's mission and the new life and him making me new, the epitome of it is not me here speaking at conferences. I mean, this is beautiful and this is great and I love it. And I love the fact that God's given me a chance to do that. But I tell you something, what's really great for me is to sit at Mass with my super cute and amazing husband. He's super cute. He's super awesome. But to sit there with him and to share in my faith with him, that when he holds my hand and we pray, like that's real. That we know that we are working together because we know that we're chosen. You are chosen. Now you're called to participate. What's it going to be? Will you arise? Will you allow yourself to be restored and healed? And will you participate in his mission? Only you can answer that. Only you can do that. I mean, us here, the speakers, the team, everybody here, we're just here guiding you maybe down from the tree, helping you out of the tomb, taking off the bandages. But you still have that choice. You still have that choice to do something amazing and beautiful and great. Pope Emeritus Benedict, he has this great quote, and I love this quote from him. He says, "The world promises you comfort, but you were not made for comfort. You were made for greatness. You were made for something beautiful and amazing and great. The fact that you're just chosen is wonderful, but the fact is God chooses you and will always choose you, and then he'll choose you to participate with him, to come in to his life, to come out of death, out of sin, into new life with him. And we, you, I, all of us, we can do that this weekend. We can do it today, right now, by making those choices within ourselves and looking at our past life and just saying, you know what? I'm not going to let my past define me. Where would I be if every second of the day, if I constantly thought about how terrible of a person I was all those years ago, huh? Who you are is who you are right now with Christ. Leave the past there. Walk out of the tomb and begin that new life with him. Amen? Amen. God love you. Thank you so much.